Hi, and welcome back. I'm Michelle A. Hansen, and thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes that new novelists make and how to avoid them. And okay, so you're writing a novel and you're struggling. Maybe you got stuck somewhere and you just couldn't get the book going, or maybe you got 3 chapters in and you just lost interest and you just quit. So once again, let me tell you that it's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad writer. It doesn't mean you don't have the talent. It just means that you don't have the right tools yet to get that book done. And when you do have the right tools, you will be able to finish the book and you'll be able to write a good book. You can be confident that with the right tools, you can write a good book. So today I'm going to talk about 5 biggest mistakes that new novelists make and how to avoid them. Now, I've made every one of these mistakes. These are things I've learned along the way, and they resulted in a lot of wasted time and frustration. And so I'm trying to save you from that same time loss and frustration. So number 1, the first biggest mistake that new novelists make is not considering the sales hook until after the book is written. See, what most people do is that they get an idea and they say, oh, this is going to be a great book. And so they sit down and they just start writing the book. And they get the book done and they make it the best they can. They get it done. And then they sit down to write the query letter. And in the query letter, you write a sales pitch for your book. And so until they sit down to write the query, they never think about how that book's going to sell. And so they try to make it sound really interesting and great, but you're still writing about what's actually in the book. And agents and editors, they get thousands of these queries every year. And they're really good at scanning through and trying to decide if this is a book that's going to sell or not. And so in just a few sentences, they can say, oh, this book has something new and interesting in it, or yeah, I've seen this before. And so when you look at the hook before you write the book, and that's how you avoid this problem. You write the hook before you write the book. If you write your sales pitch first, then you can actually try it out on people. You can say, so I'm writing a book about, and you give them your little 2-sentence sales pitch. And if they go, okay, then it probably doesn't have a good hook. But if they lean forward and say, oh, that sounds really interesting, then you know that you have a good sales hook, and you know that that path that you've started on is a good path. So, so that's number 1. Number 2, second biggest mistake is that new writers confuse good writing with good storytelling. Now, if I say to you, name a best-selling book that sold a bazillion copies that was poorly written, you could probably at least name 1, probably 2, maybe 5 books that you know of that the writing was atrocious and it was an incredible bestseller. Okay, so this goes to show you that those books, even though they were poorly written, there was something in the storytelling that connected with readers. And storytelling trumps good writing. And so you have to learn the difference, because when I started writing, I had the erroneous belief that if I just wrote the story really well, it wouldn't matter what the story was about, it would get picked up because the writing was so good. Well, that is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. They never even look at the writing until they've already decided whether or not they're interested in what the story is about. And so you need to learn that storytelling will trump that. So how do you avoid this? You have to learn the craft, and you have to learn the structure of a good novel, and then you have to learn to connect with the readers. And connecting with the readers is the key to good storytelling. Establishing that emotional connection that's going to pull your reader all the way through that book. Okay, so number 3 is to have spotless mechanics and a stiff voice. So that's a mistake that new readers or new writers make, because we think that it's writing, it has to be good writing, but character and voice trump the writing. And so if you have to sacrifice the mechanics and the beautiful description and all of those things in order to write an authentic character and voice, you should do that. The voice trumps mechanics every time. And we had a saying in my MFA program that if it sounds like writing, it needs to be revised. And I think that's a good rule of thumb. So how do you avoid this? Well, the first of all is you can do an edit just for voice, where you actually go through your text and you say, okay, would a 26-year-old lawyer actually say something like this? Or, I mean, actually listen to the sound of what the story sounds like and decide if the character who is speaking, if they would really express themselves like that. And you can rewrite a sentence that sounds more like the age, education, and an interest of the character that you're writing, and then really pay attention to the sound of that voice. Okay, so number 4, biggest mistake new novelists make is not knowing what the protagonist wants before the book begins. That key motivation is so important, and so if you start the book and you really don't know what the character wants, you cannot on page 1 begin setting up a story that is going to be compelling and pulling your reader through. So the way that you avoid this mistake is that you just learn some good pre-writing strategies, and you do ample pre-writing, and you find out the right information about your character before you start writing the book. And then the last one is the last mistake that novelists make is making the character like an everyman. So you want your book to appeal to a wide audience, and so you try to play to the middle, and you try to make the character like any teen or any young lawyer or any college co-ed, and that is the opposite of what engages readers. My favorite quote on this, how to avoid this, is this: the universal is in the specific. And a character with a specific worldview, even if that worldview isn't popular, if it's different from what people know and understand, it's the specificity of the character that is most appealing to the reader. And so instead of making your character generic, you want to do the opposite. You want to make them absolutely unique, and that's how you avoid that. Your character, you want them to break the stereotypes, not fit into them. So those are the 5 mistakes that new novelists often make: not considering the sales hook, confusing good writing with good storytelling, having spotless mechanics and a stiff voice, not knowing what the character wants before the book begins, and then the last one, making the character an everyman. Now, in my Novel Writing Made Easy course, I go into depth on all of these things and how to fix all these problems so that you can produce a book that you can really be proud of and that you can know is going to be a great book. And if it has a great sales hook, you know that it will get read. And so I want you to let me know below in the feedback, what's your number 1 challenge in writing a novel? And I want to hear from you, and so that I can kind of make sure that you're going to get what you need from me. So until next time, I'm going to sign off. One more thing before I go. Again, watch your inbox, because I'm going to be registering people for the webinar, and you're not going to want to miss that. We're going to talk about writer's block, and we're going to talk about 5 causes of writer's block and 10 strategies you can use to cure yourself from writer's block for good. And so you're not going to want to miss that. So watch again and leave me a comment. Till next time, bye.